Why do we always have corrupt leaders? And what is the antidote? And a short answer would be, let me see if I can get the spacing there. Copy and paste. Cool. Okay, so corrupt leaders take advantage of corruption amongst us to keep control. While we have no principles and nothing unites us, they know we have no strength and they can do whatever they want. That's a short answer, but let me do a bit of a longer answer. Wherever I've worked, it's rare for me not to see corruption. It is not just our leaders that are corrupt. We have less power and we have less power and we are not on the news. So our corruption is smaller and less visible. It is our corruption that makes our leaders' corruption possible. They rely on us not being united enough to find good leaders and agree to all vote for them. The reason that does not happen today is because we are too selfish to have functioning communities where people can work together for long enough for anything serious to be achieved. Sure, we can protest for a day, but if we're honest, that's just an excuse for a party to feel good about ourselves. Selfishness is a form of corruption. Corruption also grows when we are not clear on what is right and wrong. We only like to point fingers, but not thumbs, as it were, pointing at ourselves. Thumbs that point at us as the root of the problem. Society is a pyramid of power which depends on us, our local leaders, and others who support those at the top. But on the positive side, but if we were to become just a little better, we could quickly build paradise on earth. When I watch YouTube video travel vlogs, video logs, the happiest places are the ones with the friendliest people who don't think that everyone's a stranger. So they smile and they say hello to everyone they pass by. Western materialists have no idea how much happiness togetherness brings, even though loneliness is the biggest killer in Western societies, like here in London. Loneliness kills because of its side effects. All the small things that build up to the big things like depression, stress, feeling the whole world is a competition and against you. So improve yourself and the world will get better. For that, you have to be incredibly honest with yourself. Don't be quick to argue, but try to learn more and be ready to be wrong, because we must be very wrong if society and so our leaders are this bad. That's my little speech done. Any thoughts?
Yes, a few thoughts. First of all, if each individual does things good, does that necessarily mean that the world will become better? Because unfortunately, you don't get people who do good all the time, and so there are some people who don't do good at all. So it's in the nature, and I think I know we're not what we don't want to discuss Islam as directly as such, but the verse that quotes about the coming of that Allah is going to put a vicegerent on the earth, a Khalifa on the earth, in reference to Adam the prophet. This is what Satan said. You know, I am better than he, and so he will always be there. So Allah will put good people on, but the Satan within us will make us evil. In fact, Satan is something that is within us. That's why the Holy Prophet said that when he was asked, is there an Iblis in you or is there Satan within you? And he said, I have, but mine has become a Muslim, meaning
Yeah.
he has overpowered his evil inclinations within himself, which God has implanted in each one of us, and converted that to goodness. So when you become to that stage, you become angelic, and that's what your utopian world wants, doesn't it? That you want people to do good, but then we get people like Hitler, and then we get people like
So
Mussolini.
are you saying basically, sure, it's a nice idea that if we work and do good things, that it will work out, but this what I'm asking is
Hmm.
incredibly hard, and we're all like bound to fail in some way. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Uh, what I'm trying to say is that because there's an inherent negativity within ourselves, the beliefs within us, that
The
negativity,
selfish ego,
yeah,
I
yeah,
would put it for
but
the general
that
person.
selfish
Yeah.
ego is necessary because the famous phrase that you learn from your mistakes, right?
Hmm.
Unless you make mistakes, you don't know what the goodness of that aspect is. So you
Yeah.
have to experience badness, in quotation marks,
Yeah.
in order to improve yourself so that you don't do that anymore, because badness will prove to you that there is a better side to things and badness
So
doesn't
I'm
bring
going to
goodness.
say two things because I think you
Mm,
brought up two really important points. One, the second point you just made, which is that we're bound to fall down and we have to get up, and that's absolutely beautiful. Like if you were Superman and you couldn't make mistakes,
mm,
there's no such great achievement when you do get to better yourself, like to to keep standing up after you failed. God loves that, right?
mm.
So without
Yes,
referring to different
absolutely.
particular religion,
Yeah.
God loves that. God
A-
honors that.
And you as a person love
Yeah.
it as well.
Yes.
When you do something good, when you could have done something bad,
Yeah.
when you give to charity, when you could have used that money for your own good to do something, go on a holiday or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or buy something, that pleases you, and but you've given it to charity, you feel good. So it's an inherent quality for there to be that you can't have a utopian world
Right. Yes.
because
So we
it's no
can't
point
have
in
it
yourself.
cheap. There's always going to be a problem. That's true. And so we love achievement, and the kind of the idea of achievement is that we fail so many times that if it feels so great when we do achieve something.
Mm,
But the other thing is, even though you don't create a utopian world, and I'm so glad you brought that up. When you do good things, you first of all value yourself, and when you don't do good things as an individual, just forget what the rest of the world is doing. People tend to get depressed
mm,
because they have a conscience, and this a conscience is an idea that's not just a religious idea. Freud has been talking about, so many psychologists have been talking about this strange little thing that psychologists describe as personalities, right? They seem to be separate from our own beings. They seem to tell us off when we want to do something
mm.
naughty and we want to get away with it, and the conscience still tells us off. And this has been known by psychologists for a very long time.
Uh,
So
I'll
so
just
we get happy when we do good things, in spite of whether we're successful or not. We like ourselves. And yes, so what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, is that what distinguishes us from the animal kingdom? Because in the animal kingdom, they do things out of requirement for their needs, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we determine whether it's right or wrong, and that is the difference between humans. When a lion attacks an impala's baby, a Bambi, let's say, right? It won't think what will the mother think, what how hardship the mother would be. It looks at it as food and just attacks it to fulfill its needs. A human being doesn't do that. He looks at the repercussions of what he's about to be done or what he's about to do. So to achieve that happiness, man needs that desire in him to contemplate and decide what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, and that's an interesting reflection on what we as human beings are. We don't think about that as enough. Like we're not just creatures who are happy to simply survive. We need to do things that are good, and this is something like Viktor Frankl, who's wrote a famous type psychologist who wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He said we need to do meaningful things, and how do you find out what the meaningful thing is? He said, listen to your conscience.
Mm,
It's amazing, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
we can't be happy just like that. So even if we don't change the world, but we do change the world in many ways. Like if you smile at your neighbors, you made that neighbor a bit happier. You
Absolutely,
made
absolutely.
things happier. So don't. So it's not like you either win completely or
Mm,
not.
mm.
There's so many grades in between. You can make your life better. You can make your family lives better. You can make your community better.
Everything is not just about you, what's good for you. A human mind thinks that it's what good for others that pleases oneself as well.
That is 100% true, and again supported by psychologists.
Mm,
That we're happier when we do things for other people, because there's only so much you can do for yourself anyway. Like
yeah.
there's only so much food you can stuff in your face and then go, oh, that's what I need. That's a very limited way of looking at happiness. Anyway.